This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation, welcome back to PTBN's NBA Team Podcast. We are in the first week of the NBA season. It is tipped off. And then other people got tipped off and led to worser things, but we'll talk about that later. I am just glad to be here. I am Andrew Riche. I am joined by Adam Murray. Adam, federal indictments, new score bugs inside the NBA on ESPN. What is going on in the NBA?
You left me all by myself last time, and I had to punish everybody with a half hour.
I will tell you,
just me.
I will have to say, you did a fantastic job wrapping up the predictions and kind of like ironing out our over-unders to kind of wrap up our team previews. Like, you did an excellent job. There were things that we could talk about either now or later where
there were things you were wrong about. Okay, geez,
well, I mean, like Andrew Demhart getting hurt in the first game. Who's going to predict that? You know what I'm saying? That was my MIP. I'll tell you this one. And, it's very early in the season, okay? Like, I hate to get knee-jerk reactions on certain things based off of a couple of games. There are some things that are abundantly clear. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's living at the free throw line. Luka Doncic isn't he averaging like 46 points a game? Like something like that. Like there's some givens where you're like, oh yeah, Victor Wembanyama looks like Andre the Giant. There's certain things where we can expect it.
We should just call the season right now. Utah is 500 and the Wizards are 500. So, I mean, the Utah started off 1-0. So if we stop,
not only that, they like blasted the Clippers into outer space in Utah. It was very shocking.
If anything I've learned nowadays is just more, I should just take a sabbatical the first week because everybody looked, you say it was fun,
tired.
But everybody looked terrible because nobody plays during the preseason. All you have, like every game, you get the starters who play 5 minutes and that's it. It's the same thing as the NFL where, the starters don't even play. They play one series over maybe 3 games, and then the first week, everybody looks awful.
LeBron is what's the best way to describe this?
They said Phil Jacksoning, and it's.
I'm just trying to figure out the right way. Listen, sciatica is a real thing. It is. You know why, Adam? Because you and I have it. But my whole point about that one, LeBron, I don't want to sit here and like just talk all day about that. Is that he put himself on ice? I'll just put it that way. He put himself on ice. He said, "Okay, I'm gonna start the season. I'm gonna end the season on my own terms," kind of thing. But anyways. LeBron didn't start the season. There's a lot of injuries before. There's minutes restrictions. Joel Embiid played a strict 20 minutes in the first game, and that was the end. So there are certain things where Kawhi Leonard too. So there are some things where we're not near ramping up. I will say what was ramped up, the production value of the new TV providers was surprisingly great. Would you agree with that, or did you have some qualms about the NBC Amazon presentations?
I have qualms only because I want to say they're logic based. I don't want to be too inside
baseball. I get it because you work in the TV industry. You understand.
The consensus was the Amazon product looked visually amazing and everything was great. Well, yeah, because they literally bought all new cameras. Well, the local League Pass things all look like it's 480, SD, terrible. Well, number one, yeah, because A, it's old equipment as opposed to the top of the line stuff, which Amazon bought because they really don't have a budget. Number two, if you're watching League Pass, it goes to so many places. I will just give you an example. New Orleans is home, so it goes to the local whatever.
I think it's called Bali or Golf Sports.
I thought Pelicans went local to a local station because
you're right. It went from Bali. It went from Bali to this one called Golf Sports Network, which is basically owned by.
So it goes from the arena to Golf Sports to New Jersey to Stamford, Connecticut, out.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of. Whereas Amazon, it just goes from Amazon up to the Amazon servers and out. So as you know, the more places you have to go through, and nobody's buying millions of dollars worth of cameras except for like the what was it, the Prime has that LED court out there, like
Yeah,
it's just straight up a
they sort
warehouse.
of showed that off. They've only had one studio show, maybe a couple, where it's Taylor. For those who didn't watch it, it's Taylor Rooks, Blake Griffin, Dirk Nowitzki, Udonis Haslam, and I think Steve Nash. And they had this like crazy 3D court where they were showing it on a tablet. This is where this player is. It was like Kenny's pictures on cocaine. It was one of those. Inside the NBA was great. You know why? They left it alone. They just let Ernie, Kenny, Chuck, and Shaq do their thing. It was the halftime show. Just it had the ESPN logo instead of the TNT one. They did post show stuff with ESPN personalities. It didn't feel that different. I hope it stays that way. I have my doubts about that. And then the NBC one was important because it was a broadcast premiere versus a cable premiere, which has been for decades. It got a great rating because it's on broadcast television, and it got overall good reviews. They had a Michael Jordan interview that they showed clips of. Mike Tirico and Reggie Miller fit really well, and it was a legitimately good game that went to overtime between the Thunder and the Rockets.
So, okay. We're done with the broadcast.
Yes.
We've tipped off. I assume you've caught a little bit of every team by now.
Yeah, a little bit. The league
Anything
pass
you've
has
liked?
been a blessing.
Anything that standed out? Anything that stood out to you?
Luka
so
Doncic
far?
looks unstoppable as a Laker. Like, even when he doesn't shoot well, he's going to average like 20 to 30, like 28 to 30 points a game. He looks incredible. Wembanyama actually looks better than he did his first 2 years. And it's not surprising that a great player is taking a leap in his third year. That's actually normal, Adam. It's just that he was already great, and so,
Just
yeah.
like I had said, and everybody said, is you can't bet on that for 82 games. As much as you want to, you're like, I have to see it so far. And Luka, well, what's going to happen when old man LeBron comes back and wants to take his 20 shots? You think he's just going to run up and down the corner and then not get the shot? That doesn't sound like the LeBron we know. So
Curry is red hot from three. He's missing quite a few because he's taking a lot, but he is making the ones that count, the clutch ones. So he's playing great. My Pelicans are actually a competitive basketball team. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but they are not a terrible team in any way, shape, or form. I just think the West is so deep that they could still be in the bottom 5 of the West and still be considered a decent team, if that's scary enough.
Herb Jones is still like, he is a pest.
He is. A lot of guys, like, I'm not sure. The Milwaukee looks great, but I want to see them hit some adversity. Memphis looks bipolar. They'll look great one quarter, and then they'll look terrible the next. I saw a game against the Heat where they lost by like 40 or something like that. Now the negatives. Cooper Flag is struggling. Now it's only been 2 games, okay? He'll work his way through it, but he's turning the ball over like crazy.
Is he
And
struggling?
yeah, he's turning the ball over a lot. They're giving him too many minutes.
Or did you bring a rookie out and say, you're the point guard?
Yeah, that's true.
He's turning the ball over. Well, because you made him the point guard.
He is.
That might be why.
Then they tried to get him going with an alley-oop off of a run out, and he they slipped out of his hand. So it was like one of those things that backfired on him. They were actually playing the Spurs and Wembanyama. Anthony Edwards looks fantastic. Here's where I do have a huge problem, and this is sad because I said Ime Udoka would win Coach of the Year. If Coach of the Year means running your starters to the ground, I think Ime Udoka is the runaway winner for Coach of the Year because he is killing the starters. The starters right now, because of Van Vliet's injury, are Durant, Şengün, Jabari Smith Jr., Amen Thompson, and I think Steven Adams. He is playing them ragged. I mean,
because he doesn't have a plan right now.
But Kevin Durant's 38 years old, 39
He's 38,
years old.
and right now your strategy is let's put out the tallest lineup ever. It takes a while. You have
They look good at times. They were leading most of the Thunder game actually, and then the Thunder made their quintessential prison rules run where they don't let you score for about 10 minutes, and then they made the comeback and they led to the overtime win. Also, the
Reed
Knicks
Shepard is not
Man, they were
That
targeting
might,
him, but it's not shocking. I mean, Adam, it's not shocking if you see the scrawny white point guard who has good but high potential but hasn't played important basketball, NBA basketball in his career. Guess what? You're going to go after him in crunch time. That's just
but
normal.
that's what we had all said is why aren't they targeting a backup point guard? Why are
Hmm.
they getting more big men? And that could be why you're not playing your bench is because you just have Tari Eason, who really is a Jekyll and Hyde player. Like he can either score 20
He had
or
moments
score
where he looked
0.
terrible. He commits terrible fouls. He takes threes that make no sense, but then he'll make some great defensive plays.
That's kind
Uh,
of the NBA now, just taking threes that make no sense. Like you have a breakaway one on none, and instead of dunking it, you'll pass it out for a three,
yeah.
and it's like, what are you?
One team that I did, like I said, I think he did a great job wrapping up the over unders. I really did stick to my guns on most of them. There were two that I thought about. Number one, Minnesota. You said on the show I would go over with you over the 49. I really wish I could have gone neutral like you had with the Philadelphia 76ers because I think that it's just too hard to guess. I think that's exactly what they're going to be. Minnesota does look like a good team. I think Mike Conley, I think this is his last year. Like I think he's at the end of his rope. And for Atlanta, I would have gone over now. I did under before that, the 47. I probably would have gone over if I had a change of heart. Because I just think they look like a good NBA team. They got a lot of talent on that team. They did look bad
You're
against the Raptors though.
it's the opening week when we always used to do our overreaction episodes, and
Well,
that's why I'm trying to.
that's why doing pods on the first week are fun, just to hear all the first week hot takes. We always went through the stretch where the Magic looked good for the first week when they were terrible, like when they had like Aaron Gordon and Victor
Oh yeah, they
Oladipo.
always start off like
Yeah.
10-3, and then all of a sudden that's the end of it. But
Mhm.
I was more interested this week with sort of to see what are the lineups, what are the rotations they're
Mhm.
going with. I know everyone's going to suck, but if you're going like Boston, who threw out rookie Hugo Gonzalez out for like 25 minutes already, like wow, that I didn't expect to see him. And then
Yeah,
you have
they're a competitive 0-2. Like they didn't look terrible in the two losses that they had. Talk about the Celtics.
you
They
had they just well obviously overpowered by New York. New York's a way better team. That was an
New York looks awesome. I hate to be the mainstream guy, the Stephen A. blowhard New York guy, but the Knicks look like an awesome basketball team. Like they could
and,
play poorly and still beat good teams.
yeah, and on the flip side, yeah, like I'm like looking at Utah. It's like you started Svi Mikhailiuk and Cody
Mhm.
Williams is already out of the rotation.
Walker Kessler revelation, yeah, like that
Toronto,
wasn't something we talked about the whole freaking time for the team preview was how Walker Kessler's a good player and he
so
doesn't get
and
enough
like
playing time.
yep, and like Toronto, where we had always talked about like what's going to happen to this deep team once the starters come back because the starters are all going to play 35 minutes because they're not old. And it's just like
Mhm.
up Jacoby Walters out of the rotation. All those second round picks have all getting
Quickly's not
DNPs.
hurt, so he's playing a ton of minutes.
He's I was he was disappointing. I
Yeah. The two that have taken the biggest leap in terms of like they were okay-ish players last year, and now it's like, wow, these guys are good. Sam Merrill at Cleveland, he's lighting it up from three. Kaishan George at Washington for the Wizards.
Washington.
He's playing fantastic. I don't know where that came from. Maybe it's a non-anomaly. I think I said maybe it's a phenomena like the Muppets, but maybe it's an anomaly. I don't think so. I think George is going to play like 30 minutes a game. We'll see.
And we'll see what happens when Koulibaly comes back.
Yep.
Because remember year one he was untouchable. Year two it was like, dude, you can't shoot. You're no
Hmm.
good if you can't shoot. So what's gonna have this team is super deep and like Cam Whitmore is gonna get his minutes now. Trey Johnson's gonna get his minutes, and you need to have games like that to stand out in that super deep. I believe we said in the previews they have something like 10 players who are might be under their rookie contract or like just
They
under
have so
20
much
something.
room. It's unbelievable because
They they have so many young
they can get
people,
out from the Middleton and McCollum deals next summer if they wanted to. It's
which is
crazy.
you're gonna wait to see McCullum and Middleton fall back to well, we don't need these guys to play 30 minutes a game because we're taking minutes away from the people we want to see.
Right.
Charlotte was energetic because Lonzo Ball is healthy, and a healthy Lonzo Ball
The
team is
Nets look,
different.
I mean, it's predictable, but the Nets look horrible. I don't know if they can win 20 games.
Porter's getting.
Porter's getting his minutes,
We had joked about. I had joked saying Porter will be up there for point scoring, and
I mean,
I think he took that to heart.
I felt really confident that Devin Booker was going to lead the league in scoring. He doesn't even lead his team in shots. It's Dylan Brooks. So I don't know what's going on there with Phoenix. That's a we'll get to be continued. The Thunder, my only concern, awesome team, defending champions, young, great defense. Shea is in his bag. Can you run that hard for a whole season, Adam? Where people are giving you your best shot and you're still pushing them to the limit, going to overtime. Like, can they do that for a whole year? That's what I worry about.
Do we even want to see that for the whole year? I'm already sick of all the free throws SGA is getting. As
He
is
had a
everyone
game.
else.
I think it was the second one.
The Pacers where he had like 50 points on 26
Yeah,
free throws.
he had 26 free throw attempts. Right. That's egregious.
I'm gonna wait till like December when the league is like. Remember they did that for Harden. They're like, you can't keep calling
Just do
all
the
this.
flail. Like they basically took away the flail, saying you can't just like do the thing where you pump fake the guy and get the shot. The thing is, that was from the 3-point line that they were baiting people. Now it's like mid range that Shea does it, and there's gonna be some sort of correction. I don't know what it's gonna be. I don't know and I don't think it's gonna be this year. I think the league has other concerns. We don't have to go into depth with that whole thing involving Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier. I think the most important thing that we can do as an NBA podcast is really talk about the effect it will have on this season with the players and the teams. And obviously, Billups is not going to be able to coach this team probably going forward. He'll probably be fired eventually. Tiago Splitter's taking over. Terry Rozier being away from the Heat, do you think that hurts him?
I think they had expected him to be away, kind of in a way. If you look at,
there were rumors of a shadow suspension. Yes.
Again, I don't want to get into it because every podcast has everything.
Yeah, I mean it's national. It is national headline news. There's only one thing I want. Yeah, definitely, it's everywhere.
No, I mean, yes, it's everywhere. Is it doom and gloom in the end of it? No, I don't think this isn't an all.
No, it could be worse. It could be worse.
I was expecting way more names to come to it, and the fact you had two, it's all under the same, ring, but they're two completely separate.
I think the part that got buried in it, it's not. I wouldn't say buried. I think all the news is out there, but the one that got mentioned that I think is very big has to do with the fact that Damon Jones had LeBron's injury history before the books did. And if LeBron winds up having any connection to anything of this sort, that could turn into a PR nightmare. And I don't think that's the case. They already I think Kash Patel is the one who's leading the investigation. They didn't really mention him at all in the investigation, but Billups' name is all over it. Damon Jones's name is all over it. There's a couple of other ex-NBA players who were somewhat connected. So a lot of it actually involves a poker operator. It does actually involve like betting on the games. There are some curious clips where people have noticed,
and like, that's why
Billups pulling out players and stuff like that.
That's why I don't want to get into it because
it gets complicated.
It was like the who was the referee? Scott Foster.
Yes, when he did Game 4 of the finals.
Every or does it Tim Donaghy was betting on.
I thought you were going to mention when Scott Foster did Game 4 of the finals and basically gave all the calls of the Thunder down the stretch.
I was gonna start. I wanted to do it the other way around. Start with Donaghy betting, and all you have is every single game everyone's looking at. Well, Damon Jones was an assistant this time. Well, yeah, there was no also DraftKings in 2019. Or it was also, around, but it wasn't.
Also, you have these people who they make a mockery out of it. Like Paolo Banchero took a terrible potential game-winning shot. They were like, "Oh, he threw the game. No, why would he take a shot that's stupid?" And
that's what it is. And so you fall into this deep conspiracy where every game is rigged. Okay, cool.
Right.
I'm just about this. Just don't watch sports because everything is rigged. Everything is everything. I will just sort of end this conversation with there's a simple way to fix all of this.
Okay.
In a sort of across the board. Just don't have unders. Just the line is 20 points. You can bet the over and that's it. Betting the under leads to rigging, which has been throughout, you know, players throwing,
college. This happened
college
on a lower level many times. I mean, multiple times in the
over
last 5
decades.
years.
That's why if
Yeah.
you just don't have unders, it's simple.
That's what they call quote unquote point shaving. You know, it's happened in high profile cases in Arizona State and Tulane. But if you pay close attention, it's also happened in the MAC. It's happened in the Southland Conference. It has happened many times in college. I don't even want to guess in high school how often it happens. My guess is because there's not lines in high school games, it doesn't happen that often. But I can see situations where high school athletes are paid to throw games. That's all I'm gonna say. The only part I do want to mention is that Adam Silver, in my opinion, bravely made an appearance on the Amazon premiere with Cassie Hubbard at Madison Square Garden to talk about the betting scandal. He did not come off well. He looked like a deer in headlights. I hope when he goes to Congress, he doesn't have that same approach
I
because he
disagree.
okay, tell me.
I don't think he looked like an deer in headlights. He is a very
He
smart
looked
person, and
confused. He is a
he
smart person, but he looked
he can
confused.
only say so much, and his what doesn't come off well, but if you listen to the message of, yeah, we don't have subpoena
He
power,
only told
we
the
can't
interviewer
threaten.
what was already out there,
That's
you
which
know?
is what all he kind of could say, and it was just,
Mm.
yeah, these bets were made legally, so our we can't go any further in our research. Like you had
But
just
you didn't have a
mentioned,
problem with the angle where he basically said that was beyond our reach. There's no way, unless we're federal law, we can't really get to that information. Are you fucking kidding me? You don't have these sports books by your balls?
like the you just had mentioned the Mac, where you had three people allegedly uh, point shaving or having bets and whatnot.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we're not cooperating, and all the NCAA could do is like, well, we have to drop this.
Well,
We
them
they don't
being a
want to.
bunch of the NCAA being a bunch of Keystone cops is not
But
shocking.
that's I'm saying at the level, what can the NBA do? He's like, yeah, here's my phone. Well, I don't know whether you cleaned it
I guess I'm
beforehand or
comparing.
whatnot.
Well, here's the thing, Adam. You know, we grew up with David Stern, the Godfather. Like, and I don't want to try to pump up David Stern like he was like the Don Corleone of the NBA, but let's just be real. You know how Stern was, and just like his name, he was stern. Like, if he got wind that some stuff funny business was going on, you know shadow punishments were coming. And I'm not saying Adam Silver doesn't do that. I think NBA knew about Terry Rozier for years. It was just a matter of the fact that it turned into a bust. Once it turned into
Well,
a
if
federal
they knew
bust,
about
that's when
Terry
it got bad.
Rozier, they knew about Jonte Porter, and they knew about allegedly Malik Beasley and everything else. And then you see, you're falling into the conspiracy, which is what I didn't want to do.
It's not.
Um,
Well, we're not falling into a conspiracy. I do think it's just a couple bad apples. I really do.
and also, he's probably tired because he had to deal with the whole Kawhi thing the last month leading up to this. So it's just, can I
Mhm.
have this is opening week. We have a new media deal. We're
Yeah,
on Amazon. We're on NBC. We got John Tesh back playing Round Ball Rock
the Round Bell
again.
Rock. Yeah.
Everything should be good, and it just gets hit with this immediately. It's not, it's tiring, I imagine.
Well, I would give the approach for the fans the same that ESPN should take from watching the other broadcast partners do their work. The game is the story. Like, just focus on the games. And I know that you're gonna make fun of that quote that Adam Silver had about it being a highlight driven league and that watching the games isn't important. Watching the games is important. The thing is, I think people watch the games more carefully the first week because this is all you have. You don't have any other games to go by. Once you get into March, then you got a really good idea of like what the teams are like and oh yeah, I remember when they had a really rough stretch here. I remember when they were really good earlier in the year and injuries start to creep up. But right now, this is all we have, and it does feel fresh because of the new partners and the new look and everything. And it does feel a little invigorating because the games that have been on national TV have been somewhat exciting. I don't know if I don't feel like it's a turning of the page at all. I feel like I think you talked about this when you did the MVP talk on the predictions show, that it does feel like the same 5 guys. It's like SGA, Luka, Jokic, Giannis. Who am I missing?
It
Wembanyama.
Well, SGA, Jokic,
Wembanyama.
Luka, Antetokounmpo,
Yeah. I mean, these guys are going to be the MVP candidates, and that's okay. I'm
and
okay
it's
with
just
the
the same four, and
predictability.
everyone else is a far, all defensive player of the year. It's Wembanyama. Well, who else? There is nobody else.
Yeah.
It's just only if he doesn't get the games, and it's tiring to have to do that
I do think
every season
Curry.
now.
I do think Curry being on a good, like playing well on a good team has been helpful because I do feel like there is such a casual interest in Curry and Durant that when they're in the thick of it, people care. So that's been fun to watch. I don't know when LeBron's coming back. I actually don't think it's going to be mid-November. I think it's going to be
That's
somewhere.
what I said. I believe in my solo bolo there. He's not going to make any All NBA team because there's no way he can make that 65 game
And
threshold.
Adam, how are you going to give the minutes back? Luka Doncic is averaging 45, 8, and 8. Are you out of your fucking mind? You're gonna take the ball out of that man's hands?
That's why we don't need to overreact to any of this. So, is there anything else that you've seen? Anything that you came to this?
I want to see if the Portland Trailblazers can just kind of find a way to bind together after the Billups trade, and because I really don't think he's gonna coach ever again. I think he's gonna get
Well, they got Tiago Splitter, who I
yes,
believe
he's been an
you
assistant for years.
and then last year he was the head coach of Paris basketball
Oh, I
out
didn't
there
know
in the
that.
EuroLeague. So that's why they gave it to him instead of Bjorkson,
Mm.
which I was like, well, you didn't give it to a ex NBA coach. Well,
This
that's
is
sort of.
this is an easy overreaction. In fact, he had the most points in a rookie debut since Will Chamberlain. VJ Edgecombe, is he going to be an NBA All-Star? That's the question.
I told you in the previews,
He
and I
scored
told you
34 points
everything.
in his first game.
The least happy player right now in the NBA has to be Quentin Grimes. He had that super good end of last year. He's like, I'm going to get paid. They're going to give me money. Oh, we
Yeah.
draft a guy who plays at your spot, and there goes all your
I
minutes.
was
And
I'm I'll pat myself on the back. I've been a fan of his since he was in USA basketball getting ready to play at Baylor. I just thought he was going to be a good player. I just feel like he just fits perfect with what the NBA does and he's going to be a really good player. 34 points in your debut is a lot. It's very surprising, especially when you watch Flag and he got his lunch eaten by Wembanyama, let's be honest, in that primetime game. So, sometimes it just depends on who you're playing. I think the Sixers were playing the Celtics in that game where Edgecombe and I think Maxey went off too. I don't really have too many other like really firm opinions.
I got one thing that we could end
Okay.
on this
Okay.
episode. This is always a topic of yours, so I'm surprised you didn't get to it immediately.
Okay.
Your extensions. You had a few.
Mhm.
Any comments on them before the
Daniels
deadline?
I was surprised that Daniels went 4 for 100. I thought he could have gotten more. I think the concern was his lack of scoring. In fact, if you look at his numbers right now, I think he averages 6 points a game. He just has moments where he just can't score. He can't make jump shots, but defensively, he is a fantastic player. I just think the Hawks actually got a good deal out of that. Would you agree with that, or do you think that was about the
Uh-huh.
right amount of money?
Portland ponied up for two players.
Kamara's going to play a lot. I mean, you could already see it in the minutes. Kamara's playing a lot. Sharp, I think that number was exactly right for him. He does have his moments where he can't shoot, but he is a really good player. He's a great athlete, and I don't think that was a damaging contract in terms of like their future assets and having cap room in the future. I'm missing a couple. I think Aaron Nesmith got tacked on a couple more years. I like that. Aaron Nesmith has turned into a very good NBA player.
Mm-hmm. You were
Um,
quite against the Keegan Murray.
yeah, I don't. That was 5 years for 140. I don't understand it. I don't know
They
what the
paid
Kings are
way
doing.
too much for him, but I had to quickly respond to you and say they had to overpay. What if he leaves? Who does that team have?
You have no future, right? Unless D. Clifford turns out to be a great player,
But you have Nick Clifford and who else?
right?
Well, you have literally because DeRozan
Levine
and
looks
Levine are,
great, but DeRozan I mean, he's older. Okay,
but
he's
Levine's not
definitely
getting
slow to
another
the
max
gate.
deal somewhere. Like he's not getting 40 million again.
Mm-hmm.
And Sabonis can still get you a complete haul, and you have zero bench. Like Keon Ellis,
Yeah.
you've always been a champion of. Outside of him, you have Devin Carter, who was out for the first half of his rookie year with a shoulder injury, and then they're trying to get rid of him now. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to kind of overpay for somebody when there's
I
nothing
think
really there.
I want to say Utah will pay dearly for not getting a deal done for Walker Kessler, but they have so much space that I think they know they can just get the deal done anyway in the summer. And that's why they didn't
And
actually get the deal done.
the follow-up question is with the I don't want to say what the tax lines. It's always a trendy thing to blame that. The
Mm,
hard cap lines and this
the second apron.
the second apron that everyone is now afraid of because your stuff
Because
is
the owners
frozen and you
have to,
can't do
yeah, they
anything.
have. If you're a repeat offender, you pay this exponential amount that comes out of the owner's pockets, right?
Is anyone going to get paid next year? Or has the money all dried up from this and we're going to have some sort of big issue pertaining to it? Because you had players sort of like I thought it was less than usual to get. And next year, let's just look through the lineup. You got the Thompson twins who are going to get paid. So
Mm-hmm.
what does that do for Ivy and Duran in Detroit this year? Brandon Miller and we think will get paid if he could stay healthy.
I would confidently say he'll get the big deal. I do.
Scoot is definitely not going to get paid. It's the same thing
Yeah,
with
that's I could see that on the level actually of his
he's
teammates, Shaden
he's
Sharp. I could
fallen
see it
out.
similar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Anthony Black, Koulibaly, Jarace Walker, Taylor Hendricks, Jet Howard, Derek Lively. Dallas doesn't have money to give him.
Yeah, they've all had their bumps in the road, or they just haven't gotten the playing time to
And then an
ask for
interesting
a
one,
deal like that.
Cason Wallace.
That's a good one because if he goes in RFA, he can get a nice deal.
But
He's a
you have
coveted
three
player.
max deals out in Oklahoma City. They don't have the money for him anymore. You can't
Hmm.
say, well, we've earmarked, Lou Dort's 18 million for him. Like you can't.
You might have a Gilbert Arenas situation there where if a team goes $1 over, they're going to get him, or a Miles
And I
Turner
think
situation, if that's fair to say.
with this tax line and everyone, like I want to I don't want to talk about it now because I want to spend kind of a whole episode on the stupidity of teams. Like let's just say Miami and Golden State, who are like, we need zero cap room because we want Giannis in 2 years and Jokic in 2 years.
Here's the thing, though, about that. I could see Miami getting out of the Rozier contract. I think the league's going to void the contract.
I don't know.
I think
No,
so. I
nope.
feel
And
confident
here's
about it.
why.
Okay.
Because they're not going to do anything until he's federally indicted and proven guilty to do it. He'll just be
Yeah, but
suspended
I don't
without
think
pay.
the union's going to fight for this. I
You
really
can't
don't.
retroactively say because then what would stop them from voiding Kawhi's
But how
deal?
did
And what
Miami
would
do this with Chris Bosh about 6 years ago?
he medically retired?
He did.
So when you medically retire, your stuff goes away. Remember, who was it? It wasn't Darius Miles retired, and then he wanted
Hmm.
to come back, and Portland
He
was
had to play
like,
a certain number of games in order to trigger his
and
clause.
Portland was like
Yeah.
threatening everybody, like, don't sign him, don't we don't. And
Yeah, they
then they're like,
blackballed him.
yeah,
Right.
they tried to.
And the
So
Wizard and the Grizzlies did it anyway and pissed off the yeah,
So
but
that's
that
why,
was a
because then
mess.
you're getting to a whole can of worms. And then, well, if the NBA knew, how do they allow this trade to happen? How do they not veto it? And how do they
Hmm.
do this? All they can do is if he's found guilty, they could say, we're voiding the contract. You get the money. They can't preactively. What if the feds or just mysteriously drop the case all of a sudden? They can't
Yeah.
say we're voiding this
Well,
contract. We were
let me say
wrong.
this, Adam. I will say this. You're going to call it conspiracies because we always like to talk about like narratives and people having grand plans behind the scenes. I don't think it's a conspiracy to say the league is waiting for the All-Star weekend to be over in Inglewood to then say what the punishment for the Clippers are because they don't want that to be the story during the All-Star weekend while they're in the building of where Steve Ballmer's. I don't think that's a conspiracy. I think that's just obvious. Um the other one that I think is possible is the fact that Malik Beasley, I think they're gonna clear him by December and he's gonna sign somewhere.
Well, allegedly, they're all waiting for the feds to give the all clear.
Yeah, but they clearly I think they did. That's the thing.
They They didn't. They sort of were just sort of mum on it. So that's
Yeah.
why he hasn't
And
been signed.
let's be clear. I just want to be clear for the sake of legality. He is not involved in this. Talking about Beasley. That's a totally separate thing.
His is completely independent. They all seem to be independent with their own little things.
I will say only one funny thing about that incident. The one involving the Rozier game against the Pelicans. That bet was laid at a casino in a hotel where me and my wife spent our honeymoon like years and years earlier. It was in Gulfport, Mississippi, where betting is legal. That's
It's also legal in
that's a
New
true
Orleans.
story. Yeah.
It's also legal. There's a Caesar's Palace right there down on the waterfront.
And
All right.
but it's it's been interesting. I am enjoying, and I think you wanted me to defend Ayo Dosunmu. Why I think he's going to be 6th man of the year. I think there is a fierce rivalry going on behind the scenes between Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu about who's going to be the starter. I do.
You're welcome to your predictions.
And they both hate Josh Giddey because he got the money first.
I just had to mark it down for reference.
I just remember when you said it, you're like, Andrew picked Ayo Dosunmu.
You could see I didn't pre-read any of that before I just opened it up and started.
No, most of it was like most of the predictions were. I mean, I know sometimes we like talk about bold predictions for the season. I actually didn't have that many off the top of my head.
We don't need to get into them. Let's just say the NBA is back. We have hopefully everybody's up to all their streaming services so they can watch the games.
It's the league is slightly drunk. They're sort of like walked right into the bar and drank the first beer they saw drunk.
This is the preseason. Nobody cares till Christmas anyways. So
and we ain't gonna see Shaq and Kenny and Chuck till Christmas reportedly. That's the sad part.
So let's just be happy basketball is back.
Enjoy what we have. Right.
Exactly. So for Andrew Riche, I am Adam Murray. Have a good one.
Take care, y'all.